Find us on Facebook, email us at head2headpinball@gmail.com, or go to our website at head2headpinball.com. Welcome again, everybody, to the Head2Head Pinball Podcast, episode 12. I am Martin, and with me,
it's Ryan C.
Ryan C, it is good to be back again. How are you?
Good, mate. The sun's shining in Melbourne. We're getting some good weather, which is perfect opportunity to be locked indoors playing pinball.
And that's what pinball people do. We ignore the nice weather and we just play pinball.
That's right. We've got a big episode coming up. We've got a bit of a correction about some news, fake news. Some fake news last week. Got some news on Stern. We're going to talk about Pinfest that happened here in Australia, the Australian Pinfest. We're going to talk a lot about Expo. We're going to have our Expo predictions episodes, which is only a couple of days away. We're going to talk about some interesting things happening in Australia, some events, the competition winner. We're going to have a new competition, and then we're going to talk about what we did in pinball. So let's get to it, Marty.
So what is it? Are we? We're not. It's not really an apology. Is it that we got something wrong, or is it just under the title of fake news? But we're talking about the Attack from Mars remake that I think within a couple of hours of us talking about it last week, and we weren't the only people that talked about it. We didn't get somebody on our show, so maybe that's not as bad. But we were talking last week about the fact that there had been some scientific evidence to prove that we were right about Attack from Mars remake having wonky flippers. And what happened? Well,
some people that were super smart, smarter than me and smarter than maybe the person that was doing the experiment, asked him to do the experiment again, and I think it recorded the results in a different way. And he found that the original Attack from Mars, or the original Attack from Mars, he's got the guy that was conducting the experiment, is a guy called Ben, I believe.
Yep.
And his username on Pinside is 2084. So sorry we didn't mention him last week. But yeah, he did a test, and the original has the exact same variable delay as the remake, which I was really sad when that happened, because he talked about it. We were so confident that we saw the results. I'm still convinced, I'm not backing down, I'm still convinced there is something else that's different, whether it be the call stops or the way the flipper goes up. But apparently it's exactly the same, and it's all in our heads. So we apologize for spreading that news. A lot of people came up to me, especially during the week, like, oh yeah, I can't believe that, I feel the difference too. And I was like, dude, it's not that. It was proven wrong. So we don't want to spread incorrect news.
Well, that theory, that scientific theory of why it was different, has been debunked. So thank you, Ben, for at least sharing it. And it was a really good, study, and I kind of got my head around some of what they were saying. But what they were saying, and a lot of people have said, is that it's not everybody that notices the difference. And I don't want this to sound a bit elitist, but really, it's the really good tournament players, and it sounds like I'm putting myself into that category. I'm not, but I do feel that there is something different. And if Keith Elwin comes out and says there's something different, and he's the person that's done that, that Pinball 101 DVD that talks about milliseconds are a difference in your gameplay. If he says that there's something different, then I'm gonna say I'm gonna back his horse and say, yes, I also agree.
But that's the thing. I mean, like, we didn't want to say that. Well, maybe you already did say that, but it feels better when you say, "Hey, check out the science," not "Hey, I'm going to go with Keith Alwyn because like I'm going to blindly follow him because he's smarter than me." But I guess it's almost the same thing. You're trusting someone in science or trusting someone in the way they feel. But I personally
someone was also saying that
I blame Tim Sexton.
Yes, so. Thank you, Tim Balls. But some people were saying, well, if you were going into playing Attack from Mars remake expecting there to be something different, then of course you're going to feel something different. But that wasn't the case with me. I walked up to that machine that night that we streamed thinking it was going to be exactly like the original Attack from Mars. I didn't go into that with any preconceived idea, and you can just tell when I'm in that stream, I'm saying it quite a lot. This feels really different.
Yeah, maybe he hasn't done the experiment on Attack from Mars remake, just the Medieval Madness remake, and maybe something is different on that. But I'm guessing it's the same as Medieval Madness remake. But I was almost the opposite, where I had the Medieval Madness remake in my house, and I could never get high, super high scores, and I always thought I played worse on it, and I was hoping that this was the explanation, but I definitely did the same thing with Attack from Mars remake, where I just went into it thinking it's going to play exactly the same, but because I have one at home and it's one of my favorite games, it just felt off, and maybe, there's I really hope that there is something else that's slightly different, and maybe there never will be scientific proof of anything being different. But it's maybe it is just that my machine is 20 years old and this machine is brand new, and this is how it's actually meant to play, and mine doesn't play as good, but I'm getting used to it. I don't know. We've probably talked about it enough, and I'm hoping that the conversation hasn't been closed due to Ben's mistake, and people will still try and figure out exactly what it is.
Yeah, I don't know whether I really care enough to now want to know. That just came out of the blue, and that was like a bit of an aha moment, but it's not the case. So I'm just happy to close it off. And as we said, it was still an absolute hoot to play. We had a great time playing it.
Yeah. I mean, if you listen back to the podcast we did, it was episode 10. I mean, I praised everything about that being better than the original, including like the color DMD. Color DMD looks, I'm sorry to say this, looks absolutely junk compared to the new LCD with the higher res dots on the bigger screen on Attack from Mars remake. Like, you can't compare it. Like the colors they use for the alien on the color DMD is like this bright, like super bright green, and it just looks cheap compared to the remake. So if you're after an Attack from Mars, I hope we didn't stop you from ordering one. Please.
I know. Poor James that was with us, he said, I thought I'd bought a dud. No, yeah. That's not what we were saying. We're just sort of curious to know why it's different, just so we can resolve it in our minds. But at the end of the day, it's still a fantastic game.
Yep.
So other news. Let's move on to Stern. And in particular, some new code has come out for Star Wars.
Yeah, and we'll talk a bit more later on about Stern's plans for Expo, but it's around this time that companies want to release a whole bunch of good news items to get some goodwill flowing, and well, I mean, Star Wars needs an update anyway, but we got code update 0.91, and then one day later it was 0.92, and the differences, Marty, between the codes.
Well, the main difference that I know is that they've now added 2 video modes. One of them being, I don't know what the name of it is, to do with asteroids, and the other one is like a lightsaber duel. Is that correct?
Well, I think the lightsaber duel is just a mode, and the mode is ready when you knock down the drop target set 5 times, I believe.
Right, okay.
I think there's only one video mode, but I read something else that if you're playing as Leia or Han, you can play a certain video mode as a Hoth 1 mission. I don't know. I haven't played it yet. I was going to play, go and check it out, but I was a bit pinball fatigued this week.
Yes.
After our long tournament, which we'll talk about a bit later on. So I actually haven't played it, but do you want to describe the video mode, Marty, since you just watched it before?
Yeah, I do. So effectively, there's a whole stack of asteroids coming towards you, and you are moving the Millennium Falcon, I believe it is, left and right, but sort of in a curve. And the first thing I said, and for those that retro gaming nerds, I thought it was like, I think it was Xevious, that game that was kind of like Galaga, except you could move all the way around the screen in a circle. So it's kind of like a small, almost like a smile at the bottom of the screen, where you're going left and right, but raising up to the right and raising up to the left, and you're avoiding the asteroids as they come towards you. And I believe that there's a multiplier as well.
Yes, I believe that it follows the same multiplier as what you're on the play field. So if it's on 1 times and you enter the video mode, I think you can get a score of maybe 10 to 20 million. But if you're on the 20 times multiplier, that's 100 to 200 million. 200 to 400.
Right, okay.
That's right. So you want to have your multiplier on. And I believe as well that you can press the middle button to have like turbo boosts to go by quicker. I'm not sure. I've really got to, I've got to play it, but it's there. It's the world's first LCD video mode. I mean, unless you include the golem save as a video mode, that's almost a video mode, isn't it? The ball save where you like the bar goes up and down.
You know, I think that's a bit of a stretch to say that that's a video mode. I mean,
you don't get any points for it. You don't get any points for it, so it's not a video mode.
No, you don't. So, and it's I can't believe you brought that up. It is a bit more enjoyable than the golem mode where you're pushing a button once.
True,
but it looks fun.
Yeah, looks good. We also got some news from Stern. They announced the Stern of the Union. Do you know what that is, Marty?
I do know what that is. And we sort of seem to think that this might be the doing of Zach Sharp, their new marketing and communications manager. And so they are now going to send out, I guess it's a monthly newsletter, I guess you'd call it. And it's been, very, very much welcomed because they do talk about probably the most important thing that people are talking about, and that is code updates. And, they say we're continuously working to update and improve software for our machines. There are always code updates and bug fixes in various stages of development. As usual, we will release them as soon as possible. Here's a sneak peek at 2 games that will have updates coming very soon, as well as a status on a few other titles. So they talked about Star Wars with its new asteroid video mode and intense lightsaber duel.
Yeah, and there was a screenshot of Batman, and there was a little mode that I like to call cliffhanger it up, because it's like Crank It Up, where you figuring out if you want to keep on playing the episode, if you want to cash in the episode, and they're calling it cliffhanger modes, because do you go on to next week or not? Stay tuned for next week, kind of thing. So I'm calling it cliffhanger it up because it's Crank It Up with a cliffhanger. Do you think that's going to stick? Is that a good word? Is that a good?
I'm not sure. Listeners, write in and tell us whether
it's horrible.
Ryan's onto a winner there. Oh, look, so just going back to Star Wars as well, and one thing that I've been told, and you can back me up on this or not, is that one of the other changes they made to the code, which is a small but important thing, is that they've actually now changed the colour of the inserts for combos.
Yeah, I remember the first night that I was playing, and I was telling you, Marty, I was like, is that insert? Because I always play the Death Star modes, and it flashes purple. And then when you hit a certain shot, a couple of shots will light up pink. But if that shot is also a Death Star shot, it'll strobe between pink and purple. And it might sound like that's a really big difference. But since it's the same insert and it's just alternating between them, your eye, you got flashing lights and stuff going on. It's really hard for your brain to kind of say, is that a combo shot, or is that a mode shot? So yeah, that's now changed to, is it like blue?
Like a blue, maybe a light blue. And I know what you're saying. It kind of sounds like it's a bit trivial, but if you've got 3 shots lit and they're pink, and one of them is pink and purple, it was really hard to know what's going to be a combo shot, which you may want or you may not want, versus the shot that's actually going to progress you to a mode. And it's a mode based game, so I found that as well. And again, we're going to talk about the comp that we went to, but I played that game, and I was at that stage where I was looking around going, I don't know where I'm meant to be hitting my shot, because I saw there was 3 pink inserts, which I now knew were combos. I couldn't tell which one was the...
Combos aren't worth anything, I don't think anyone's
probably not
aiming for combos like other games.
So we're glad they did it. I just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, just on that, last little note on that. Do you think Dwight listens to the show?
Well, he could do. There's a lot of people that do listen to the show. I hope he does. I do know...
Well, this is my message to Dwight. Thank you for doing that, bro. Now, I've got my Star Trek, and when I'm playing the Klingon battle, and I'm playing
Yes.
Klingon multi-ball, I don't
Yes.
know what's a mode shot. I don't know what's a jackpot shot, because I can't keep control. I can't keep track of four balls. So, if they could like put a last little, like just that last little update on Star Trek and somehow change that, that'll be tip top.
Is that? Are you saying it's because when you're in Klingon multi-ball and when you're in the Klingon mode, they're both red, so you just don't
They're
know?
red. You
Yeah.
can't tell. I mean, and I should know that each jackpot is, a shot in a lane. The 6 lanes twice or seven. Is it 7 lanes? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 including the warp ramp. Oh no, 7 including the middle. So you have to hit 6, 7 to light the jackpot, and then 14 to light the super. I
Right,
believe.
okay.
So, but you can't count that when you have four
No.
balls.
Well, you can't. So what could you do? Well, then they probably got to then flash between red and another color. And what would that color be? White, I guess.
Well, it can just be that if you're playing that mode, then yeah, jackpots turn to white because the inserts never flash white, do they?
No, I don't think they do. So
Yeah. I
just
don't know.
in general, make it white for jackpots. I don't know. But yeah, I do know what you mean. And the way I play Star Trek, I always have that Klingon mode as the last mode I go before Kabashi Maru. And so invariably, I do often end up having that mode running with Klingon multi-ball. So I know exactly what you're saying.
That game has some awesome call-outs. Have you heard the call-out, your mother has a smooth forehead?
No, I haven't.
You haven't?
No.
It's like the Klingon guy insulting you, your mother has a smooth forehead.
Is that that's an insult for them, I guess.
Yeah, because they've got like wrinkly foreheads. So
Well,
you haven't heard that.
No, I
Have you not
haven't.
heard that?
Side note,
Okay.
new Star Trek season that is out is phenomenal, by the way, and they've completely redesigned the Klingons. Just thought I'd let you know.
Okay. Well,
There you go.
I don't
Public
give a
service
shit about that, so. I promised a friend I'd watch it, and then I totally forgot about it.
The good thing about this series is, if this is what I've been told, I'm a Star Trek nerd. Remember, I'm a Trekker, not a Trekkie. But what I've been told is that this really does appeal to non-Star Trek folk.
Well,
So-
Rick and Morty is done, so yeah, I've got nothing to watch, so maybe I will stop watching junk TV and get in on it. Let's see.
Well, do. So what else did they also announce in this update? They've said Ghostbusters. So as soon as Star Wars is complete, they will be focusing on a final update for Ghostbusters. Now, besides fixing the flipper gap, what code update do you think that they could do to help Ghostbusters?
Apparently, the final mode isn't really a final mode. It's just a piece of crap. What else can they do? I don't think they're going to fix the... I mean, the 10% skill shot thing, that's not hard. That's not... There's nowhere on the playfield where it says 10%. Maybe they can reduce it to 5% because it's just silly.
Yeah.
The whole skill shot thing is the worst thing about that game, and people
know.
think I'm crazy when I talk about it, but you can't have the 6 times skill shot being lit through like hitting a lane that it's just silly. I don't want to go on a Ghostbusters rant. I don't like Ghostbusters, and I personally think that no. Well, actually, no. Code can save it, but it has to be a bit more of an overhaul. And
one of the
I don't think it's going to be an overhaul.
Well, one of the main complaints that people have is when you miss the skill shot, like let's say it goes into the top lanes and it misses the skill shot. You're in, what is it? I think they call
Jail.
it jail. You're in mode hell because the only way now you can start something is to hit that ghost in the middle, whatever it's Slimer, to start a mode, and the game is dangerous anyway. So that would be
that's the thing. I never go for the the multiplier skill shot up the top, which is a lot to chance.
No one does that.
I want to start the mode. Who brought
Yes.
the dog? Because that's the easiest one
Correct.
to hit. So I'm always playing the same game because of the brutality of what happens if you don't play that way.
Yeah, but
Which
if you
instead of-
overshoot your plunge and you end up in the top lanes and you miss the skill shot, you got nothing going for you. And
Yeah.
it's that right there, and a lot of people have brought it up, so it's not just me. But that right there, as soon as you do that, and I've played this in comps, and people can hear me scream because I will kick myself for not being patient enough to try to do the short plunge right. As soon as that happens, and you realise you've just got nothing lit, it's just it's just a painful place to be, and
Yeah.
hope that that's something that they will fix. If there's only one thing that they're going to fix that. I don't care about wizard modes. I'm never going to get to it anyway. I just want it to be a bit more accessible, and the best way to probably do it is have all the modes lit, ready to go as soon as the ball goes. I mean, if everybody has it all the same, that's okay. It at least gets the game progressing from the start.
Yeah, at least for the first ball. At least for the first ball,
Yeah.
just have every shot lit, and whatever lane you hit first will start the mode, and that's
Yep.
and then maybe
Like
after that,
every other game.
Yeah, like well, no, Kiss has that issue as well.
Yeah,
Okay,
true.
Kiss starts the mode, but you can get stuck in it the entire 3 balls.
Yeah.
But Steve Bowden, Fun with Bonus, has a really good article on it. I think it's called 1 million when lit or a billion when lit. Just look up Ghostbusters Pinball in jail, and I'm pretty sure you'll find his. Well, okay, actually, I'll just link it in the show notes. You don't have to go googling
do
around.
that.
And he wrote this really good piece. It wasn't just like a link. He wrote a piece on how they can try and improve Ghostbusters. So I don't know. Maybe Dwight's read his. Anyway, that's
Well,
not
I
like
hope so. I mean, the good
Ghostbusters.
thing about Steve. Hi, Steve. I know Steve listens. The good thing about Steve, and maybe it is about me, but it's about Steve. Whenever he does have those pieces, and I remember the feedback he gave on The Walking Dead, he just really was not a fan of The Walking Dead at all. And I just remember every time I read his articles where he talks about, and let's say it is criticism/feedback of these machines, I agree 100% with what he's saying. And I'm nowhere near as good a player as him, but I totally understand where he's coming from a player's perspective and also from a tournament perspective.
All right. What else is getting a code update? Kiss.
Now, it does say Kiss. We will be revisiting Kiss code very soon to create a final update. Now, okay, so Ghostbusters needs an update because it's a little bit broken.
Mm-hmm.
Kiss, I don't put Kiss down as being broken as far as code goes. I put it down as just being really dull.
Well, I think if they have a mode timeout, right? Because if you actually open up the SPK file, the firmware file for Kiss, right? When I had Kiss and I was about to sell it, I was like, well, let me open up the sounds, right? Open up in Pinball Browser. It's a great little app, and I will listen to the sounds, and maybe I can get a gauge of what's to come if I listen to, the call-outs. And there's these awesome call-outs where Gene Simmons is counting down from 10. And I was like, oh, I love countdowns. Like, there's going to be this mode we have to hit a jackpot in a certain time or a mode or something. And I've now learned that, like, every single game now that Stern releases has countdowns in it. They get the person that records it to count down everything. If you listen to Batman 66 file, there's a countdown for that. If you listen to Aerosmith, there's a countdown. Every game has a countdown, just in case, but they doesn't mean that they're going to use it at all. So I would love for there to be some kind of countdown during a jackpot to do something. I know there's that, locking the ball in the head for double play field. But I think the most important thing, number one...
Yeah, I was wondering whether you... I'm expecting you're going to be talking about the thing that I'm going to mention. Go for it.
It's just you can't be stuck in a mode, like I said before. Like Aerosmith, maybe not 30 seconds and the mode and the song is done. Maybe make it a minute. But if you can't make a certain shot, and I know tournament players will say, "Oh, well, if you can't hit the ball through the pops, then you're not a very good player." Well, there's a million players at it. Not a million. Sorry,
I was going to say, how many players do you reckon there are?
Sorry, there are thousands of shitty players out there that would like to own a Kiss Pinball machine, and they don't deserve to have one shot lit through the pop bumpers and to be stuck in that mode the entire time. Do you know how I hit the left orbit, Marty?
By going to the right and then...
No, and wait for it. Yeah, sometimes I do that. You go to the right, you get a couple of pop hits, and it goes back up.
Yep.
Or you defeat the game logic by slow punching, so the ball rests at the top of the orbit peak.
Yes.
And then if it's slow enough, it'll trickle down either the right or a left, and it'll register a shot.
Can you do that though, like on call?
Maybe 30-40% of the time. Yeah.
Okay, well that's better
That's
than
what
trying to.
that's my skill shot. My skill shot is to try and get one of those shots if it's lit.
Well, I thought you were going to mention that the one thing that is glaringly obviously missing from that game is the cities.
Don't. That's done.
It's not done.
No, they've mentioned that. They've mentioned that. I think they addressed it. They said it's just a call out. Move along.
No, my prediction is this final update they're going to do something. Yes. Come on.
What that like a city gives you a perk? Like if you're in
Yes.
Pittsburgh, you get more like tournament points or something.
Yep. I don't know.
Come on. What are they going to do?
It just seems
Is
like
White Sox going to come in and say like if you play in I don't know what's another city, Detroit, you get like a multiplier, like a 40 times multiplier for the whole game. R2D2. No, they're not going to do anything. That's like people need to let that go. I was one of those people, but I realized that it's
Well, you are going to be pleasantly surprised.
You reckon? You've got some inside information, Marty?
I really don't. I just have what's called wishful thinking.
Okay.
I really do. It just, I always just pick my mode via the right flipper. But I have seen when other people are playing and they hit the left flipper and that goes to the cities, and I'm like, oh.
Well,
why?
It might just be like a good luck thing, right?
Yeah, but it's not like on Metallica. I always pick battery. I think it's a bit of good luck for me, but also because it's my favorite Metallica song. So, even if they could do something that meant something besides the fact that you're playing in Detroit, is that it?
Woohoo!
Yes!
That was insane. I love how he says that no matter how shit you go in multi-ball, you can like drain Love Gun multi-ball within like as soon as the ball saver is gone, you drain, and then he what's his name? Not Gene Simmons, the other guy.
Paul Stanley.
Paul Stanley goes, woohoo! That was insane. I'm like, no, it wasn't. That was shit.
No, but I really like the call-outs on that game. I do. But I've said this before. I love coming up on Kiss in a tournament because the rules are very safe and understandable, and it's a fairly safe game.
This is one tip that made the game, when I had it, a lot more enjoyable. If you change the multiple music, Demon Multi-Ball, because it's this awesome thing, especially if you have the premium or the LE, you lock the third ball in Gene's head, he goes crazy, like the DMD's red, which kind of suits the game, I think. The whole playfield goes red, and it's like, Demon Multi-Ball, and then it starts playing Calling Dr. Love, is that what the song's called?
Yeah, yep.
Oh, and it just so doesn't suit, like, the intro. The intro is like this hardcore bit, and then it's like, Calling Dr. Love. You know what's a good freaking song, which I changed it to? God of Thunder. Holy shit. If you put God of Thunder on when you're playing that multi-ball, it is so much more satisfying than Dr. Love.
Nah. Just calling it right now. Best
Why?
Kiss song, I Was Made for Loving You, in their disco phase. There it is.
Yes, but that's not a good song for the multi-ball.
No,
The
well, they
multi-ball
don't-
starts with him like...
No, but it's also because they don't play that song anymore because they hate it.
Okay.
So,
So what song did you say? It wasn't God of Thunder, so I just...
No.
What did you say?
It wasn't what I wanted to hear, therefore I didn't hear.
Did you say I Was Made for Loving You?
Yes.
Well, you can just chuck that in as one of the other songs.
Well, I don't actually have the machine.
I actually don't know
It's
how to
terrible.
do the whole changing thing, and I haven't bought the license, which I probably should, for the pinball browser. So I just got someone else's song, and he changed. One of the songs was Christine 16, which is a horrible song for the pinball machine. I'm sorry. Christine 16. It was horrible.
What's all this singing this week?
Because I'm getting all out of the way because I'm gonna strike. I'm not singing until you sing a song. Anyways,
You're going to be on strike for a very long time.
Is that all that's coming from Stern? From Stern of the Union? The
Well-
very State of the Union. Is that war related? Because I don't think got the Stern Army.
Possibly. Well, they do actually talk about the Stern Army update, but I don't think there is a Stern Army in Australia.
Ooh, maybe you should start one.
Well, what I understand is
I don't even know what it is.
I'd say I should probably get educated on it as well, but I believe it's a venue that has Stern machines can sign up to be a part of the Stern Army, and I'm sure that there are perks that come with it.
Well, I saw something saying that like someone had been upgraded to like a different ranking, and they use like war rankings, like you're now a general or you're a corporal, major.
Yeah. I
Okay.
don't know. Maybe we'll have
State of
an
the
update.
State of the Union's from State of the Union. State of the Union is an annual address by the President of the US. So they okay, that's where it comes from. So I should know this stuff, but I don't live in the US, so.
Well, what I do know, just off the top of my head, that it's a joint initiative between the IFPA and Stern Pinball. Because the Stern Army is the official street term and brand ambassadors of Stern Pinball, working in partnership with the IFPA to help create more tournaments and leagues at public locations. The mission of the Stern Army: 1, again, this is all just off the top of my head. 1,
Yep.
expand the player community through events and leagues at public locations that include Stern Pinball machines. 2, get more Stern games into more locations. 3, get more people playing in tournaments and leagues at these locations. 4, be the voice of the Stern brand. So really what I think it's saying is, if you sign up, Stern will start promoting your comps, which is a cool thing.
Well, I think they do give a lot of prizes and stuff away. Like every time you see someone win a competition in the US, they've got like a Stern Translite or something. But
Yep.
should we start hitting up AMD for free stuff?
Well, look, there's enough locations that we've got in Australia that actually have the majority of Stern machines. So I think it's time that Australia got a Stern Army. There may actually be some.
Are we actually going to do anything about this, or is this just like a bit of the podcast and we just...
Oh, no, absolutely not. We don't do anything. Once the podcast is done, that's it. We're over. But there are enough...
That's so true.
There are really, we don't do anything.
I don't even add half the stuff in the show. I don't even know if any... Can someone please email me? Does anyone click the links that I do in the show notes? Because that actually takes like 45 minutes to an hour to remember the shit we've been talking about.
I know.
And link it. Please tell me if someone clicks at least one of my links a week, I will keep on doing it. But if no one is doing it, I'm going to give up on that.
Well, I think people see all the pretty pictures. Anyway, the point being that Australia needs to be Stern Army. So in this, Stern of the Union address, they do talk about updates. And yeah, you're right. They talk about people that have been upgraded. There's some more news information as well. They're talking about the Heads Up Pinball Championship. What do you know about that?
We'll talk about it later in our Expo thing.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
How about you start a Stern Army, I start a JJP Army, and we go to War Muddy. We'll go to head-to-head.
Okay. All right.
Done?
Okay.
We say not to do anything.
We're not going to do anything. We don't. We talk for a couple of hours and then we get on with our lives. But they also talk about Stern Pinball Arcade. And I'm going to check my phone right now. I know this makes for really boring podcast content, but I'm still pretty sure that Stern Pinball Arcade is still not updated for iOS, so no Ghostbusters on any of my Apple devices.
As if you'd want to play Ghostbusters anyway.
I would much prefer it on a device where I don't have to put any money in.
They've got Fathom. You can play. Oh yeah. What's that thing? Oh yes. What's that famous Fathom quote?
I can't remember. Anyway,
okay.
So
moving on.
So just
you've got a note here about Ed Robinson. What's that about?
Well, yeah. So the only last thing I'm going to say about the code update for Stern is that I was listening to the latest episode of Coast to Coast Pinball. Welcome back again, Nate. Always. Oh, it's like putting on a nice, comfy pair of slippers. When you hear Nate's voice, it's like I'm back in my happy place again. And this. Well, it's true. And
I wonder if Nate gets sick of everyone just saying he's the best. I'm not saying he's not the best. I'm just saying like he's just like everyone
it's
says.
It's probably a burden.
You reckon it's a burden?
Maybe. He's probably over living in Amsterdam just trying to get on with his life, and he just constantly gets emails from people saying, it's been a couple of weeks, mate. It's been 3 weeks. It's been 4 weeks. Are you dead? And then he puts out an episode. But the good thing is he did put an interview with Ed Robertson, he of the Bare Naked Ladies, and we put a shout out to Ed before, and we're saying please come and tour in Australia just so we can play pinball with you. But the point was that Ed, we were talking about this just before we started recording this as well, he made a statement that for some reason, he may know somebody that's in the know that was talking about Batman 66 code, the code update that's coming up, and he basically said that we are all going to be really pleasantly surprised with the update, and it's going to restore faith in Batman 66. It's a big call.
It's a big call. We'll talk about it a little bit later on during our Expo predictions, because that is one of the machines that Stern's going to be promoting at Expo.
Yeah, okay. Cool.
So enough about Stern news. That was really long, and we got sidetracked a lot singing Kiss songs and whatnot.
Well, you did, yep.
Over the weekend, there was the Australian Pin Fest, which is held in Newcastle every year. And I think there's about 80 or so machines at a public location that the public can go to, and a lot of pinheads go to. And we got some feedback saying it was another great event. People really enjoyed it. Was there a tournament there? I don't think there was a tournament.
No, I don't think they've had a tournament there the last couple of years. The first time and the only time I went, I think, might have been possibly even 3 years ago. There was a tournament there, but no, I don't think there was this year.
Yeah, so there's machines there from all generations, and I think it's just a family event to get people more interested in pinball, and it is our only kind of real Australian Pinball Expo event.
At this stage?
At this stage, yeah.
Well, we do have our own flip out that's coming up in a couple of weeks, but as far as
I'm talking about like an annual,
mass size,
yeah.
That is true.
And
yes.
It was the reveal of Thunderbird's. Well, we won't say production model, but it's the first semi-complete Thunderbirds that was shown to the public.
It's the prototype. Really,
it's a prototype.
So, it's subject to things being changed based on feedback, and there's been a lot of feedback. We've received a lot. There's been a lot of feedback on Aussie Arcade. There's been a lot of feedback on Pinside. There's been a lot of feedback directly to me. I don't know whether you got feedback as well.
Yeah, I've got about 20 messages here from people. Some of them, I mean, I'll be honest. Some of them I asked for it, but some people just messaged me because they knew that we would like to know.
Yeah, well, we've seen, everybody knows, we saw pictures of this before it was released. We still haven't played it, and I've always said, particularly with this machine, I will never know whether this is a good machine until I see it in the flesh and I play it.
Yep, just like Star Wars, we speculated about what it's like, and we kind of mentioned the things that we do and don't like about it, but everything is subject to seeing it in the flesh and playing it in the flesh, because, I mean, the first thing we said when we walked up to Star Wars is that it actually looks quite nice in the flesh.
Yes.
I mean, the artwork isn't, absolutely, mind-blowing or amazing, but it's not offensive, it doesn't look bad or anything, and on one of our episodes, where we got the sneak peek of the art, we had that little clickbait title. Is Thunderbird's art better than Star Wars? I think that was the name of the episode. And I don't know. I think, for me personally, I think it is. I said I like colourful pins. The more colours, the better. And that was one of the things that almost everyone universally said. In the flesh, this machine looks great.
Yep.
And it sounds great.
Yeah, and so there has been there was some Facebook Live footage. Thank you, Richard and Brett. There was also some high-res images that have been posted on Aussie Arcade, and I'm not sure whether we are able to, post these up because it's all still subject to approval. But there's also video footage on YouTube. And one thing, I hadn't seen this art in such high resolution, and being able to have a really good look at the playfield in detail. And I'd said before, I really like the art on this. I can probably understand that it's not to everybody's liking. I remember that when I got to see the art for 60 seconds when Ryan first showed me. The first thing I said was, it kind of reminds me of the good Data East days. And I still back that up. I still think it looks the good, data these days where it's all hand drawn and line drawn art, but it's not too intricately detailed, and it's very bright colours. It's very blue, and it's packed full of toys. It's got ramps. It's got everything that you would want from a modern pinball.
Yep. As I'm not a Thunderbirds fan, so nothing that they draw would offend me and say, hey, that's not true to the original. So as long as you splash colors on there, then I enjoy it. But that was the good stuff. And I said I didn't get any bad feedback privately, or I didn't see any publicly about the art or the sounds. Apparently it sounds great.
Yeah.
Some of the feedback, well, I mean, you don't even need feedback on this. You can just watch some videos. Is that the game is very brutal? Is a word that some people
Yes, it's very tough for a number of reasons. The first one being what everyone has mentioned is a very large flipper gap.
Yeah, and I had to ask people, can you send me another picture of flipper gap? Can you send me another one? Because when I see a flipper gap, unless I'm there in person, it doesn't. For some reason, when I see a picture of it, it doesn't seem big. Like I remember when I saw the Ghostbusters flipper gap, I thought, hey, that's not that bad. Why are people? And then you see it in person, and I was like, wow, that is a massive gaping hole.
Yes.
I should have used different words.
Well, you did.
Yeah. But yeah, apparently it's as big or bigger than the Ghostbusters flipper gap. But also the side lanes are kind of angled down, just like Star Trek Next Generation, you might say. So if the ball gets in that area, it's bye-byes.
Yeah.
They said this is a prototype, so people are going to be talking about the game, but I guess we can only talk about the game that was shown. We can't say, hey, it might do this and it might do that. But there are a list of things. Do you have that in front of you, Miley, or not? Of things that apparently are going to change in the pinball machine.
Look, I don't. And the one thing to note is that Mike and I believe Sid was there as well, and the feedback about the feedback, I don't know how that works, but the feedback that I heard from a lot of people is that they were talking to a lot of people and gathering as much feedback as possible, because this is really the first time this machine has been played by A, the general public, and B, some of Australia's top players. And if you're, Richard Rhodes and Brett Goodwin that were there, and, I think Richard was number one at some stage and Brett's up there as well. And if they say the game is tough...
about Eddie.
Oh, Eddie was there as well.
Yeah.
If they say the game is tough, the game is tough.
Yeah. I've got the list here. Flipper gap to be reduced by 4 millimeters.
Yep.
4 millimeters is less than half a centimeter, so I'm not sure if that's going to make it super easier.
It will.
The center ramp entrance to be wider and steeper. The mole target to be a captive ball.
Yes.
The outlane wire guides to be posts with rubbers. That would make it easier.
Yes.
The Thunderbirds 2 toy reduced in size.
It's quite large, yep.
Yeah. That is about it for the... I mean, there could be 20 more changes they're going to make, because if you remember the interview we did with Mike, basically he was him and his team were putting the machine together while we were speaking to him. So he's had it in whitewood form, but this is the first time that everything's been on there. And then as soon as it was ready, it was meant to jump on a boat, but because it took so long, it had to jump on a plane. So
and also got damaged on the way.
Yes, I believe the courier company dropped it, and they spent a bunch of hours fixing it, and I think one of the toppers couldn't be fixed or was fixed on the last day. I'm not sure, but
yeah. So just on that feedback. So one of the things they said was the center ramp being steeper and wider, because what we'd heard is you get a lot of air balls off that center ramp.
Yeah. I don't know. Most of the videos that I watched were really blurry, so I couldn't see air balls.
Yeah, okay.
And some more kind of high res footage is going to be uploaded, I think by Richards later tonight. But what can we say? We can talk about the rules. That's there so far.
So I didn't. From what I saw, I couldn't quite understand the rules. I understood how to do multi-ball, but not the other things. But you were saying before we recorded what that's about.
Yeah, so when we saw the original art, we could see I think it's 6 or 8 modes in the middle.
6.
Yep, 6. Is it 6? Okay.
Yeah, there's Thunderbird 4, Fab 1, IR, International Rescue, Thunderbirds that go, The Mole, and The Hood.
So think of this kind of like Elvira, like Scared Stiff, right? So the modes aren't things like you shoot a mode hole and then you're in the mode and you have to complete a bunch of shots. The modes are pretty much always running. Like in Scared Stiff, one of them is start multi-ball. Another one is shoot the orbit to get in, get the deadheads, like just the 3 top lanes.
Yep.
Get the pop-ups. So think of it like that. Like you're completing a certain amount of things, so you can complete them all at once, so to speak, as long as you have a lot of things going on. So it's a fairly simple game that way at the moment. I'm not sure if there's that much room to make it super complex. Not super complex, but it's hard to build on that, unless those tasks become harder. Like,
yeah,
I think one of them is hit the Fab 1 target, which is that left orbit, which kind of stops and then comes back. So it's like a half orbit.
Yes.
So, I mean, I'm pretty sure the only thing you could do is just make it, like, instead of hitting it 5 times, you have to hit it 10 times. I don't know. I'm not sure how you can make that any harder than it is. So it is a fairly simple game, which kind of matches the fast nature and short ball times. Operating this game would actually be really good because, I mean, the first couple of games that I saw Richard and Brent play, it was like a 4-player game that lasted like less than 3 minutes or something. So
yeah, people did mention short ball times, and the other thing was that to start multi-ball, you hit the FAB targets, which are underneath the big Thunderbird 2. That drops the
ramp down.
Puts the ramp down, and then you shoot the ball up there, do the targets again, ball up there, shoot the targets, ball up there.
I think they might stay down. I think the ramp stays down. Okay.
But what was interesting is that if you lock one ball or if you lock 2 balls and then you drain your ball, you lose all your locks.
Yeah, while your bonus is playing, there's a post that kind of like holds it up. I think it's almost the exact same mechanism as Getaway,
right.
And it's common knowledge that Mike has a Getaway there. It's the only pinball machine he managed to kind of get through to China. And the ramp that goes up and down is kind of like the lock ramp at the back of Getaway.
Sure.
And the ramp locking mechanism is kind of like Getaway, except you can't steal locks. You can't. I wonder if that feature of losing your ball locks during the ball is just a temporary thing, because people usually don't really like that. I mean, apparently that was like a Gottlieb thing. I was talking to Bruce from Slam Steel podcast. Hi, Bruce. And he said like it's some like really old Gottliebs would do that. If you don't start multi-ball on that ball, like game over. Like you have to start all over again. But I think in today's kind of modern times, people expect your progress to translate and, save for the next ball. So maybe it's just a code update they need to do, because there was a bunch of other things that you could tell, like when you actually start multi-ball, it would do the Thunderbirds countdown 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, but the balls would be released before it says 1. It would get released at 5.
That's
so
right.
That's just like a timing issue. That's just like a little bit of one line of the code.
So what's interesting about that starting multi-ball, and I guess we'll probably talk about the layout and the flow of the game, is that I could see that it was very difficult to get a ball up that ramp, which is the Thunderbird 2 ramp, from the left flipper. The only way that people were really successfully doing it was backhanding it from the right flipper. So it genuinely meant that for most of the games that I saw, people were backhanding the FAB targets and then backhanding a lock, and it was just really get multi-ball and do it again.
Yeah, I mean, it was a new game, and there were heaps of people there, hundreds of people. So, not many people kind of got to dissect the game as much as I think Richard did a glass off and went through the entire game, so you can kind of see how you progress. But the thing that a lot of people kind of contacted me about is it's because of the layout, which we're getting to now. The ball. I mean, most games have a ramp that returns to a flipper, and that kind of gives you a bit of break and increases control and increases your ball time. Thunderbirds has 2 ramps, and one of the ramps returns to the flipper, but it's only for multi-ball. So there are 2 ramps, and both ramps are used for multi-ball locks and a multi-ball start. So it'd be nice if there was a bit of flow and you can kind of hit that ramp and it returns to the flipper, because without that, the ball is always coming back to you. So there's a bit of a lack of flow people talked about.
Yeah.
And I said even that, I was talking about that half orbit. So you get the ball, hit the shot perfectly up the left orbit, it hits a target in the middle of the playfield that faces where the ball's hitting, and then it just comes straight back. And because of that middle ramp in the middle, well, of course the middle ramp is in the middle.
Yep.
Because of that ramp in the middle, if you make that shot perfectly, it orbits back around to the right, straight to your flippers. If you kind of rattle it up there, it might go into the... it's hard to talk about a game without people watching it. Just watch some videos, but the ball spends a lot of time in the middle of the playfield, and because of that people kind of complain a bit about the short ball times and the brutal nature of the game.
And so that's why I think, even though Mike was saying that he's going for that Bally Williams feel of the day, I still will draw comparisons to Data East machines of the time, where they were brutal, and they didn't have all the necessary niceties like ball saves and carryover modes, etc. Everything seemed to be quite self-contained in each ball. So if that's what's going for, I think that's fine. I think it's actually succeeded in being that, probably a shorter playing game. It may actually be great in tournaments.
Do you remember what Mike said when I asked him about the ghosting issues that other companies have been having?
Sure.
Do you remember what his response to that was?
That they've fixed it.
Yep, and we didn't ask the way he kind of said it. I didn't want to ask a follow-up question because he was kind of like so adamant that he fixed it. And did you hear what the solution was? I mean, well, he didn't say this is the solution, but did you see what the clear coat situation was on Thunderbirds?
Yeah, my understanding is that there was like a plastic coating over the mylar that wasn't taken off before it got delivered, so it looks a bit dirty. But
I think that was mylar on top of the protector. So what they've done is, I believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, if someone's listening out there, but he hasn't publicly announced this, so we have to just kind of guess and go with what we're told. There's like a plastic kind of protector. I'm not sure what material it's made out of, over the entire pinball machines, and the machine is not actually clear coated. And this is not an option. This is how the machines, I believe, come. Sure. So that the solution is to ghosting is that it's impossible for the machine to ghost because there's no clear to ghost.
Right.
It's the raw player field with the inserts on there, but it's kind of like always protected. And it's an interesting way, I think, to go about it because I don't know. Some people complain about playfield protectors, but I think if it's applied in the right way and dirt doesn't get underneath, then I don't know, if the machine gets banged up enough, maybe it's removable and you can buy it for cheap and put it on, and the playfield's kind of perfect underneath. I don't know. What are your thoughts on it?
See, that's the kind of stuff I don't really worry about. For me, as soon as a game starts getting marked, I'll sort of move it on. But
you still haven't sold a pinball machine, Marty. So.
Well, and none of them have got ghosting. So my point, well made.
Okay.
So look, I don't know that kind of stuff. That's way too technical for me. But I rely on you to tell me whether that's a good or a bad thing.
I don't know either. But I just know that some people absolutely hate playfield protectors and swear by kind of a clear-coated playfield, but with all those issues, I mean, it's an absolute nightmare to deal with. So this is a way to get around it.
Well, you know that we streamed a dialed-in limited edition, and then a week later we played another dialed-in limited edition that had the playfield protector on it, and it did feel different.
I played really well with a protector one, so
you're actually okay with it.
Yeah.
But it did actually have a very slightly different feel to it. But then again, we thought Attack from Mars Remake had a different feel to it.
Yeah,
so
what do we know?
We don't know anything. We just make stuff up.
I will say this just in closing, and a lot of people kind of contacted me and their opinion on. I mean, this is a pinball machine, so there's absolutely no way that you can please everyone. I mean, just look at the debate over Stern Star Wars, like the biggest company making pinball machines, doing the biggest theme, the very polarizing opinions on the machine. A lot of people didn't like Thunderbirds, but no one wants to stick their head out and kind of say, on the forums or anything, because this is, Mike's an Australian, and Mike has been through a lot to get where he is, and it still is in prototype stage. But a lot of people didn't like the machine, but they don't, they specifically told me, please don't attach my name to. I'm not going to come on the show. I'm not going to write you an email and say this is from Joe Blow.
Yeah.
Because people don't want to be seen to be bashing, and people want to help Mike out. So
yeah, people want to support him, and he said that he'd be happy to sell 500 of them. So he knows. He's always said, if you don't like it, don't buy it. I don't think Mike would listen to this feedback and think anything other than what he already knows, and that is he's making a game to a particular design to suit a particular type of customer. And if you buy it, great. If you don't, well, that's okay. There may be something for you in the future.
As long as he listens to as long as people are giving him feedback. I mean, the worst case scenario is if everyone pats you on the back and says, "Hey, you're doing a really good job," and then there's something glaringly horrible that you need to fix. But I think there's been a lot of feedback, and I think he will take it on board. And hopefully, he's got until I think February around that to ship production units. So that's plenty of time. That's what is that? 6 months almost, half a year.
And if you think about, we talked about the feedback that came from someone on the forums, changing the mole target to a captive ball, that can be easily done, very quickly done. Widening the middle ramp and making it steeper, it's a new mold, and they've got to go through obviously a new supplier to be able to do that. That might take a bit of time.
Sorry, these aren't things that someone suggested. These are things that someone said that Mike is going to do.
He's going to do. That's
Mike
right.
telling him. Yeah,
that's right. But I'm just saying, on all of those, if you list them, so putting posts on the outlanes, that's going to be easy. Reducing the Thunderbird 2 model to a different. So from a physical change to the machine, from what we saw to what he said is going to be done, I don't think there's anything that's too scary there.
Okay.
But as far as we've been told, code is pretty much done, if not.
Is it?
To. Well, yeah, I think
said
that was what I read on the forum, was that looks like code is close to where it needs to be. So
okay.
Yeah,
get some jackpot call-outs in there.
Yeah, well that's
Jack,
just voiceovers. Are we done with Thunderbirds?
We are done.
Probably last thing to say as well, if anyone does want to write in and give their feedback on Thunderbirds, positive, negative, whatever it is, and if you want your name read out or not, just write in head2headpinball@gmail.com. We'd love to get your feedback. We haven't played it yet, so any opinion is good.
There are a lot of forum opinions, but we want your kind of untouched, real. I don't know how to say it.
Unedited, yeah.
Unedited, raw opinion. All right.
What other news is there?
We got a big event coming up, Marty, in a couple of days, which is the Chicago Pinball Expo.
Yes.
So we would like to give you our predictions on what each company will be doing. We'll start from the small companies.
Okay, go.
So we got the big Dutch Pinball with the Big Lebowski.
Yes.
Now apparently they're bringing their male expert with them, and
to show us how to fold envelopes.
How to fold envelopes. Yep.
Oh.
Everyone will be an expert by the end of their seminar. But will they be bringing a Big Lebowski? Have they been sending mail updates recently? Have they stopped?
I haven't had one for a couple of weeks. I still think they are sending them every Friday, but I think the last update I was aware of was a non-update. There wasn't really a lot of information. It was just, we're working well with our partner, etc. But Jaap and Barry will be having a Dutch Pinball update at Expo, and they'd have to have a Big Lebowski with them. You'd think.
If I was them, I would just bring an old Big Lebowski and then just say, "Hey, check it out! It's fucking exactly like the one that we made before." And everyone's like, "Whoa, cool!"
Yeah,
who's gonna know? Who's gonna know?
The finished product is going to look exactly like this. Just borrow the one from the Sunshine Laundromat that I played.
Yeah, it's all banged up.
Yep.
Beer spilt all over it. So I mean, I don't think there's going to be anything groundbreaking for them. I hope they don't announce a Bride of Pinbot 4.0.
Well, that's I wonder whether they are going to mention Bride of Pinbot. What was it? The special
3.
ultra
3.0.
limited mega edition 3.0, or whether they realised it was a bad idea.
I'm pretty sure they sold none of them, so the market spoke, and they chose wisely. So next up we got Highway Pinball, who are not, I believe there's no Expo talks by them, but the aliens are still out in the ocean somewhere, and I don't know. They don't have very long to get there, do they?
But are they on their way to Expo, or are they on their way to CoinTaker?
Well, they on their way to CoinTaker, and CoinTaker have a big presence. Well, last year they did at Expo, so I don't think CoinTaker are not going to have it there, because the whole purpose of shipping them to CoinTaker, well, one is to fulfill orders, but also to repair some of the damage that's the brand has been subjected to. Well, not subjected to. They created the damage by not shipping their pinball machines. But I don't know. If they don't make it, there's going to be maybe 1 or 2 aliens there that had been shipped before. But they really need to have a row of 5 aliens, I think, at least.
And so, will Highway themselves be there? Do you think the new version of Highway 2.0?
It would just be a waste of money. And I mean, and the face of Highway in the US are CoinTaker. I mean, they're the ones that are distributing it. They're not selling direct anymore, so they don't need to be there unless they maybe are announcing I don't think they've done enough yet to say, hey, these are the new investors. They don't have a version of Jersey Jack to say, hey, I'm the happy face of the company that you trust. They don't have that yet. They just, I think, silent investors trying to fix the shit show that's been created by Andrew and everyone else involved.
So you think there's very little chance that they'll announce another machine? What if they did? What if they actually did say, and we're now announcing our next machine, whatever it is, James Bond or Queen or whatever the rumours are?
I don't know. I don't know where the market is at the moment. Big themes always make people pull their money out, and a theme like Queen would make people want to order, but I don't think it's going to be in the quantities and droves that people have in the past. I think most people have learned their lesson that pre-ordering pinball machines is a bad move.
Yeah, you'd hope by now people have learnt that that's just not a good model. But
let's move on.
When a theme comes out and people get emotional, then logic sort of goes by the wayside. So you just never know.
Their blood rushes to their wallets.
They really does. Via their penis, but sure, keep going.
Via the penis. Well, there's also female listeners, Marty, so
yes.
It could also be through the vagina.
Yes. Oh, stop. But we don't want to be sexist, so
no, exactly.
we talk about both things. Now, who else is going to be there?
Yeah, so last year there was a big P-Rock. P-Rock was there and with their P3 system, but also because of that, it was almost all the homebrew pinball machines like Total Nuclear Annihilation back then, and all the other ones. There was a really cool casino one. There was Doom. There was a lot of them there, and I think what happens is Jerry from P-Rock books the kind of area and pays for it, and then everyone with a homebrew machine, I'm not sure if it's free or what, but they get to display the pinball machine. I believe there's been a bit of an argument, and you can read about it on Pinside if you really want, with P-Rock and Spooky and Scott Denisi and everyone involved. So I believe there's going to be no P-Rock presence there. So the Total Nuclear Annihilation production model is going to be revealed at Pinball Life,
right?
Who is a big pinball parts supplier, but easily the biggest one in the US.
Yes.
And I think it's about half an hour or 40 minutes drive from Pinball Expo. So he's going to have his big party there, and that's where all the spooky and TNA stuff is going to be happening.
So it's not actually going to be happening at Expo?
No, zero. So,
really? No spooky?
No. Well, he'll be at, he said he'll definitely be at every single TPF and possibly other events, but I don't think, unless something drastically changes, like they're done with Expo.
So what does that mean for the Alice Cooper reveal?
It will be not at Expo. It'll be somewhere else. I mean, it might be at TPF.
Okay.
It'll be me and Dr. John holding hands together. Cooper reveal.
So, I mean, obviously you said we can go and read it, but I don't want to have to go and read Pinside. Do you know why they've decided to go?
I mean, well, it's funny because the guy, I think he's called Mike. I can't say his last name, so it's a P.
Sure.
He started the thread about Expo, and then people said he's spooking going to be there, or P-Rock or something, and he said, no, I don't think so. And instead of leaving it at that, he said, I think from what I've been told, there's something wrong with their system. Kind of saying like the only reason when they're not going to be there is they've got a problem with their hardware. And then Scott Danesi came on, and if you've read anything of Scott Danesi or heard him in interviews, he seems like a very, he's a very chill guy. But he kind of retaliated and said that's a lie, and why would you say that? And it didn't get crazy heated or anything, but I don't think people like the guy who runs it, and I think it seems like the event is suffering as a whole because of it.
Right, okay.
The free play room, and apparently he's very stressed out because there's certain laws in Chicago about like the just OH&S laws, and instead of kind of like kindly reminding people that their tables can't go over a certain line, he kind of screams at them because he's a highly strung guy. So this is the funny thing, and I've mentioned it before. I had an absolute blast at Chicago Expo last year, and I was oblivious to all of these things. I didn't see any arguments going on. I didn't talk to anyone that said, all this stuff's going down. You just go there and you have fun. But then you log on to Pinside and you read about people saying they will never go there again because of A, B, and C. So the general consensus is that Expo is on a bit of a slow demise, and TPF is now the biggest kind of pinball event with more games, maybe more vendors and everything. So,
and they seem to have more reveals.
Well, just I think everything's. I mean, just every newest pinball event will have the most reveals because there's so many companies going on now. It got me thinking the other day. I mean, there's so many companies now. Has there ever been this many pinball companies ever? Can someone please email in? Because I know, like, even back in the pinball's heyday, there was, I don't know, was there 5 or 6 back then? Is there more pinball manufacturers now? And how do you
define?
Yes,
you've got to define
exactly.
what manufacturer is, don't you? Because there's a
Release-
lot of smaller boutique.
Okay, we released one pinball machine and working on something else. So how many do we have at the moment? We've got Stern,
Yes,
JJP,
correct.
Highway, because I mean they've still shipped some games.
Well, but they're not working on another one that we know of, really.
Yes, they are.
Well,
they're,
okay.
they're not planning to shut down. If they plan to shut down, they would just shut down.
Yeah, okay.
Right? Including them. That was 4. Has anyone else shipped a retail game yet? Jerry at P3, he's shipped retail games.
Shipping,
that's 5.
Correct.
American Pinball hasn't shipped anything yet.
Dutch Pinball has.
Yes, okay. So even though they're in kind of a bad situation, they've still shipped. So that's
Sure.
6. If anyone knows anyone else that's released like a retail, and I mean more, I know there's that. What's that fishing one? Nemo or something? I'm not sure if you want to include that one.
No, I don't think so.
Captain Nemo. Nemo.
Something like that, yeah.
All right. So what's the next thing we're talking about? We're talking about American Pinball.
Yes.
So they kind of revealed Houdini at Texas Pinball Festival in March, and they said they'll be shipping by the end of the year. So I'm guessing we're going to get a big update on production and ramping up and to see when they can deliver machines. I believe they promised before the end of the year. I think they've made some changes as well because the model they revealed at TPF, I think some things have been taken out. I can't remember what. I'm very sorry, but it is priced at $7,000 I believe, and I don't think that's changed. So I guess we'll get more of a story from Deval and Joe Balsar, who are kind of running the show there.
Yeah, because they're doing a seminar as well, aren't they?
Yeah, and I hope they have more than one machine. I think it was 2 machines they had there at TPF. So hopefully, there's nothing worse than waiting like half an hour to play a game, if that's how long you have to wait, and then having, we're all human, we all have crappy games of pinball, because it really, the first couple of games really define your initial impressions of a pinball machine. I've never seen someone have a really crappy ball and say, oh wow, this machine is absolutely amazing, because they feel like the machine, we're human beings, we feel like the machine has cheated you, even though it's usually you playing bad. So hopefully they have a lot of machines there, at least 5. The dialed-in situation was really good last year. There were 5 machines, I believe, and the line times were never longer than maybe 10 minutes or so.
Okay, well that's good. That was better than the dialed-in lines that we had last year, because we had one ball.
One machine. Well, it wasn't. This is the thing. It wasn't set on one ball.
No,
it was. It was just everyone felt guilty about 30 people waiting behind them, so they just like, well, I guess I'll play one ball, and that's it.
Yeah, that's right.
Anyway.
And so, speaking of small companies, so I noticed during the week that Riot Pinball had, first of all, updated their Facebook title image and then their profile image, and I thought, oh, something's happening here, and I sent you, screenshots saying, Riot Pinball, they was the one that did Wrath of Olympus. They're going to be showing a new game. And then they showed it, and it's Dead Man's Hand.
It is a pinball.
It is,
but it is a pin.
It is a pinball from the traditional use of the word pinball, meaning a game that's got pins, as in like nails, and the ball goes around, and it's more of a random and goes into gobble holes.
I love that word, gobble hole.
I know you do. Way too much.
As long as the gobble hole isn't too big like South Park.
Yeah.
I like a small gobble hole.
So
a nice and tight one.
Didn't they release something similar to this last year? And didn't Zombie Yeti have like his version of it? Or was that like a baseball game?
That was a baseball one.
That was a baseball game.
Confused.
I am getting confused. There was another one that came out like this. My question really is there a market for these games?
Well, it doesn't look like it's very expensive to produce, because basically you've got a ball launcher, and then I think, does it have a tilt warning? It has, I think you can tilt the machine. I mean, it only costs a couple $100 to make, wouldn't it? What? I'm not being rude. I'm just like, how much would it cost to make?
A couple of $100 to make. You tell that to Scott from Riot, just how much you think these things are worth.
I don't mean development costs and stuff like that. I mean a piece of wood, like, it doesn't have solenoids and it doesn't have any flippers, right?
Doesn't look like it has flippers.
It's art. It's a piece of wood and it's pins, and it's a spring to launch the ball.
Yeah. Okay.
Like mass produced. If they say they produce, I don't want to use a mass, but say they produce 200 or 300 of them, it's got to be less than like, I don't know, $300-$400, I'm guessing, each.
Yeah.
Well, it could be way less. It could be $100 each. I don't know. I don't know what things cost to mass produce, but it's not a full size pinball machine. Like, it's not the size of a normal playfield, is it?
I don't know. It's designed to be a tabletop. I mean, someone has asked the question, will you be able to have legs on it? And they've said that you could possibly put legs on it, but really it's designed just to sit on a table.
We're talking about it because it has the word pin in it, and just...
Well, we're talking about it because I got really excited.
If it doesn't have flippers, then I'm not interested.
No, same. But I got excited because Wrath of Olympus just looked amazing, and I really wish that they had got enough backers to be able to get that game into production, because it was a really good game, and I know that they made a few with all the parts that they had. I was just hoping that they were coming back for another go with another...
Like a TNA style kind of like, hey, TNA can be done, we can do it now. Can I tell you
Maybe.
something really quickly?
Sure.
I haven't seen any, like, I haven't even Googled Wrath of Olympus. I've never seen a picture of, it's been mentioned a lot of times, but I've never been urged to be like, oh, I want to go check it out. Because what if I really like it? Like, it's not being produced apparently, so what's the point? So how many of them are there?
I honestly don't know. I thought there might have been 6 to 8 of them. Only, let's just say, a handful of them. But,
Ah,
you know,
I'm going to cut you off again. We forgot to talk about Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Did you see that?
I did see that.
Holy shit.
It looks great, doesn't it? I've played that. I've played
Really?
that. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's finish on Wrath of Olympus
Yeah,
first,
sorry.
and then we will do a bit on Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Okay.
But I would recommend that you look up Wrath of Olympus. I could send you a picture right now if you couldn't be bothered. It
Don't.
is a great game with great rules. I wish they had made it. I do feel that it might have been the theme that had let it down. Not saying that it's a bad theme. Wrath of Olympus is actually, like, all those kind of, gods and myths and all that kind of stuff are very cool. But if that had been Game
God
of
of
Thrones, if that had been Kiss, if that had been any theme, I think it would have got a lot more attention. And as we said before, people would have put their money down with their emotions. I think
Why?
there was a bit of a disconnect.
I wonder why there hasn't been a Greek god themed game. I mean, this is it, but I mean, kind of in mass production, because there's a lot of content to draw off there.
Yeah,
I guess people. I
absolutely.
mean, people say, well, why isn't there a religious themed game like the Bible adventures? Because maybe it's just like I guess it's not really the same category, but the whole mythological nature of that stuff. I don't know.
I don't know either. But yes, you are right. We didn't get to mention Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy when we were doing our roundup of Pinfest. And also, just with Pinfest, last time I went, there was actually a couple of homebrew games there, and one of them was Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy in a very early prototype form. There was also the band Tumbleweed. Do you know the band Tumbleweed?
Nope.
Okay, Aussie band, and he had done an original themed, like, homebrew game of Tumbleweed, and it was actually quite a lot of fun to play. I can't remember the name of it, but there was also another game there that was kind of like an old EM. It had, those very small flippers with a very wide gap, and it was lots of fun to play.
Okay.
But yeah, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Talk about video screens. How many are there? 3, 4?
I don't know. I didn't look too deep into it because as I said, I'm never going to own these games, so I just looked at it and I'm like, wow, that looks cool. Even just the aesthetics of it, like the white. There aren't many like white pinball machines.
Yes.
Some people powder coat their machines white, and I think personally a lot of them look horrible. Someone did their Ghostbusters in white, and their Star Wars in white, like the Stormtrooper edition.
Yeah, I like the look of that.
I don't like white stuff, but this is like a certain type of white that just looked really good. Yeah.
Yeah, well, as I said, I played it a couple of years ago, and I did actually enjoy playing it, but it was quite basic. This is the first time I've seen it since that time, and it's almost like a completely different game. It just looks so much better than it did before. There's so much more in the game. The back LCD screen wasn't there before.
Oh, wow. It's huge. It's like bigger than the JJP screen.
Yeah.
Right?
There's also another little LCD screen on the apron, which is almost like the size of a mobile phone. I think there's one in the playfield, kind of like Highway has. And I think the back might be just either an LCD or a DMD. I'm not so sure, but there's a lot to see, and the video footage that they use on that back screen looks great. Not that you're playing the back screen, but it still looks great. And the other cool thing that it's got is these. I don't know whether you saw these rotating pop bumpers.
No, I didn't see that at any stage of the video that I watched.
Yeah, so on the top right-hand corner, there are 3 pop bumpers, and they're kind of like on a rotisserie, so they sort of spin around.
I saw the cup spinning around.
Yeah, okay. Well, there you go.
Anyway,
so there you go. That's a homebrew game.
back
So I
on
hope they
track.
make that.
Yep.
It's a great theme, great game. Who knows where it's going to go? But he's been working on that for years.
About 3-4 years, I think.
Yeah.
All right, Stern.
Yes.
So one of the big companies. Now, we're still getting the same mail in that they're definitely not going to release anything at Expo. But I also got some mail in saying that their Guardians of the Galaxy is kind of ready to go, but they're choosing not to reveal it. And maybe they're choosing not to reveal it for the same reason. Well, because like Batman last year, it was kind of behind the ropes, and you can see it, and it was very pretty, but they didn't want you to play attract mode because that was all that was kind of in there, and some very, very basic code, because it kind of makes them look bad against dialed in, which they must have got mail themselves that was a kind of in a very complete game state. So since Pirates of the Caribbean, which we'll get to soon, is apparently almost code complete, I don't think it would be a good look. That's one of the reasons. Another reason is because I think they're trying to celebrate, some updates to them, other pinball machines like Batman. Apparently, he's going to get a huge update.
Do you reckon that update will happen before Expo? I mean, we've got a couple of days.
I think it has to happen right before Expo, because if it happens at Expo, and you're like, hey, these are the only ones in the world kind of thing that have been updated, isn't that really shit for someone who has one at home? Like someone at Expo saying, oh, hey, I sat there and I played the game for half an hour and like it's really good. Like I think it has to be.
Well, unless they say, here is the new code and it's going to be available in the next couple of days, or it actually gets released during Expo.
Yeah, but I mean, how much can you really enjoy a pinball machine when you're in a loud environment? You know what I mean? Like, I think Batman especially is one of those intimate games that a lot of collectors have in their home. I don't think they're going to get the same response as kind of releasing it for those people to enjoy versus releasing it at Expo and people saying, oh, yeah, it has all these like really cool cliffhanger modes. But, yeah, I don't know. It doesn't really matter. By the time people are listening to this, they probably would have already released it. and we're going to sound like idiots. But
as I said before we started recording, I had this bit of a conspiracy, and I thought, well, maybe they're not going to actually have a game there because we get a lot of information, and yes, people have been talking about Guardians of the Galaxy. They've been talking about Iron Maiden, and everyone's got all their different view on what's coming next. And I said, well, maybe it was that Iron Maiden was next, but now they've had to push it back out, and so they're probably going to announce Guardians of the Galaxy, and it's not quite ready, so they don't want anyone to actually physically see it. Who knows? But you sort of came back to me and said, are you freaking mad? Everybody knows it's Guardians of the Galaxy anyway.
Yeah, I don't think it was meant to be Iron Maiden, and maybe, I guess we're going to see that next. I mean, after Guardians of the Galaxy, will it be Iron Maiden, or will it be something else? And then if it is something else, we know that it probably was pushed back. But what I would like to see from Stern is like a really classy Expo, because there was some stuff that happened last year that this is what happened, and a lot of people would have forgotten this, but it was they did it in such a way that it's like seared into my brain, and it makes me think in a negative way about Stern. What they did is Jersey Jack, they went through a lot of their issues. Wizard of Oz took ages to come out. Hobbit took ages to come out. They're trying to crawl their way out of the mud and release Dialed In. Now, when I was flying over to the US, I was bored. I paid for the airplane Wi-Fi, really expensive stuff. I saw an article get released, and it was an interview. I'm not going to mention which Stern employee was in the interview. I'm paraphrasing here, but he said something like, we own 99.9% of the market, and I wish we had good competition because it would like be good for the market and propel us, or something like that. And I thought, okay, well, he's obviously exaggerated that figure, but it's been quoted in there. So he kind of said like we wish we had someone kind of keeping us honest and all right. So keep that quote in mind.
Sure.
And then Jersey Jack. I mean, Stern had their events. They had the Batman reveal event. They had it at the factory. They had the Stern party. Right, so they had their time to shine. It was all about them, their 30th anniversary party. Then it went to JGP, revealing their dialed in. You know, everyone knew it was going to be an original theme. People were excited. We all love pinball machines. We can share the excitement for Stern,
Sure.
and we can share the excitement for JGP. This is what they did. They tried to, I'm not going to mention the Stern employee that set this up as well, but they tried to steal the crowd away from the reveal by saying, hey, we're going to be giving away, we're going to have a free pizza event at this time, which was the exact time that the Jersey Jack event started. And it's going to go for 1 hour, the exact time that the Jersey Jack event was going for. We're going to be giving away free pizza, and everyone's like, well, who cares? But we're also going to be giving away Batman 66 like memorabilia, something cool that you can't get anywhere else. And I'm like, well, some people can just go and get it and then go to the Jersey Jack event. We're going to be giving away one every 5 minutes. And I thought, are you absolutely serious? Like, the tenacity and to do that, to try and like just let them have their time to reveal their pinball machine, you know? Like, why do you want... It's still going to get revealed. People are still going to go and play it there. Why are you trying to steal thunder away from a reveal event? And it didn't work. I don't know how many people went to that event, but that hall was absolutely packed out. But it just left a really bad taste in my mouth because I think from the article saying we want competition to then try and kind of like, I thought there were dirty tactics. It's business, right? All's fair in business.
Do you know what? I've seen so much of it in my time. I know a company that I work with had a massive media campaign to launch their product. I think they'd been in business for 2 years. It took 2 years of development to finally get their product up and running. They had this massive event where they invited all their customers along, all that kind of stuff. And on that exact same moment, a competitor set up a kiosk outside giving free merchandise and free product, which was exactly the same product but a competitor product, to anybody that was walking past. It just happens, and that's just... It's not nice business. Marketing, but it's business. Yeah,
it's business. So as a business perspective, if I was a shareholder of Stern, I'd be like, yeah, sure, bury them. Like, just be number one by the longest mile that you can. But then, as someone who is a pinball lover, I put my pinball lover hat on. I want Stern to be the best by releasing the best pinball machines.
Sure.
I don't want them to be the best by giving people free pizza, right?
Yeah.
So what I want from Stern, from this Expo, is if they're not releasing a new pinball machine, which I believe they're not, is just the most positive vibe about how much they love pinballs, and we're going to support the community by releasing updates for Batman, which people have been the most patient freaking people ever. There's hardly been any Batmans that have sold, and reward them with amazing code and just have a really good Expo.
Do you think they could maybe reward them with free beer courtesy of Two Brothers Pinball, or autograph sessions with Dirty Donny and Zombie Yeti, and maybe have an event hosted by Jack Danger?
I'll only be happy if they bring back the monkey.
So we're obviously that was my attempt at a segue into Sternorama. So that's the event that they're having at Expo. So it is at the Western Hotel, which is, I believe, where Expo is happening, and it is presented by Logan Arcade and Two Brothers Artisan Brewing. So it's called Sternorama.
It's not at the same time as the Jersey Jack reveal, which is good.
No, that's good.
Points already.
So it is hosted by Jack Danger, and there is free beer while supplies last, courtesy of Two Brothers Pinball. There will be a classic lineup of Stern machines, courtesy of Logan Arcade, and there'll also be the IFPA Heads Up tournament. So now can I talk about it?
Go for it.
I don't know what it is. You have to tell me.
Are you serious?
Yeah. This is the challenge mode, isn't it?
It's a challenge mode where instead of like playing Star Wars and a 2-player game and whoever gets the highest score wins, or pin golf, this is literally like 2 Star Wars machines next to each other, and there's a goal, and the goal usually isn't score related. It might be like get to the video mode, and I believe that was one of the goals, which is funny because they just released code for it. So get into the video mode, do everything you need to do and get there first. Or if there was Star Trek, it's been done in the past just for fun, for I think a charity event, like get to Kobayashi Maru first. So 2 people playing 2 different machines at the same time and getting into a mode or accomplishing something first, which I think is super exciting as a format. As I said, this is the first Expo where I guess Zach Sharp might be controlling the direction of what presence Stern has. Obviously, there's other people involved, but he's the PR marketing guy. So
Yep.
It'd be interesting to see what message comes out of Expo, because even though, as I said, Texas Pinball Festival is kind of taking over as the more preferred destination for pinheads, this is in Stern's backyard, and there's a lot of companies in Chicago, so it is still a very big event.
But Pinball Expo was always the industry event. It just got bigger and bigger over time with pinheads coming along. But this is really for the industry.
Yeah, if
you take just only the industry and take out the pinheads, that's not a lot of people.
Well, no, but I mean, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of big. I remember I met Al, who's very well known in New York. I think he's like the guy who cites the most machines. So when he goes to Pinball Expo, he wants to see what's new.
Yes.
He's like, okay, I'll take 5 of these, and I'll take this many of them. I'm not sure of the numbers. I'm just making it up.
Well,
but I mean, when people cite pinball machines, like the big guys, they don't buy one. They're thinking, okay, well, how many of these will I take? And they go in there for the impressions, right?
Right. Well, so now what it's really highlighting is that those people are now guided by what the punter, the consumer, the pinhead wants. And so if you've got now all these pinheads coming along to these events, that's the best way you're going to gauge the reaction to a reveal, is
how long
the
the
public
lines.
Thinks. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
So anyway, evolve or die.
Evolve or die. You just chuck that in there.
It's something that I evolve or adapt or die. It's something that I have to say in my profession all the time.
Okay. Now,
so Jersey Jack.
Jersey Jack, we're leaving them to last because we think, me and Marty as a collective, even though I haven't asked your opinion, but I'm pretty sure we're on the same page as this. We think they're going to steal the show, so to speak, and they're the ones that everyone's going to be talking about because they are going to be revealing Pirates of the Caribbean live, thanks to Kevin and Nick. Got your names right, boys.
Yeah, we did. Both of you. That's right.
So they will be live streaming it, and we will post up a Facebook reminder again, because I think it's just going to be a really cool event to have it kind of professionally announced through the stream. And
yes.
Are you excited, Marty?
Yeah, I've actually got a meeting request in my calendar. I've got it set that I am busy, so nobody can interrupt me at that time.
Oh, so is this like a sickie during the day kind of thing? Like, are you?
Well, it just means that I'm just going to be busy at that particular time.
You're kind of like the boss there, right?
Sure.
Like no one can say, "Hey, Marty, we need you to do this."
Sure.
Yeah.
I do actually have some employees of mine that listen to this podcast, so hopefully they won't listen to it this week. But yeah,
you can edit it out. Yeah,
look, I must admit, I think it was not Papa this year, but Papa the previous year. I was watching the finals of Papa when I was in a client meeting and nobody knew.
That's impressive, Marty.
Yep, that's what I do. I just had the mobile phone just on my lap, and I was just, as I was pondering certain thoughts, it made it look like I was deep in thought, but really I was looking down at my lap watching what was actually happening. So that was a real thing.
Cool.
So
now,
what do we know about Pirates of the Caribbean?
We know a lot. Do you remember?
Problem.
Wait a second. Do you remember the conversation we had last night when you were drunk?
I think we both know the answer to that.
No.
No, I don't remember drinking last night.
You were destroyed last night. No, you were very tired. We know a lot, but we can't. We're not going to say everything we know because we're just going to absolutely spoil it. And I like getting spoiled. I like knowing what's going to happen because it's just an exciting thing to me. I like to know straight away.
I hate surprises.
You hate surprises?
I hate surprises. I need to know. The problem is, we throughout the 12 weeks that we've been doing this podcast, people send us messages and say, "Oh, it's going to be this," and then a week later, people will say, "Oh, actually, no, it's not. It's going to be this," and then a week later, we get told something. Oh, It is the most infuriating thing now about having this podcast is people giving us all this inside information
I
that
think what
just
Marty's
contradicts
referring
each
to
other.
Is the whole Johnny Depp thing. Is Johnny Depp going to be in the pinball machine or not? And we've heard both ends of the. We've heard both. We've heard, yeah, he's definitely in there. No, he's definitely not. So what we've decided as a collective is that he is in there, but it's not him. It's probably an impersonator, which personally I'm fine with because there are people that can impersonate people exactly, and it would save Jersey Jack an insane amount of money. And I don't want companies to spend insane amounts of money if someone's voice can be. I'd rather it go into other things.
Yep,
or
absolutely agree.
Even if it doesn't go into other things, I'd rather them make a boatload of money. I'd rather them make $100,000 more than hiring Johnny Depp for half an hour.
That's right. He doesn't need more money.
He doesn't.
He really doesn't.
He's got out of money just like you.
But look, again, it's one of these things. Who knows what is in this frickin' pinball machine? Just show us the machine. And Jersey Jack Guanari, if you're listening, put me out of my misery. Just send me a frickin' photo of the machine. I promise I won't mention anything because we're not going to be podcasting till next Monday. So I won't tell anyone, but put me out of my misery. I hate surprises. I just need to know.
What do we know? We know that Keith Johnson, let's just talk about the Pirates a little bit more.
Sure.
I believe Keith Johnson's going to be doing the code on it. I just remember the other day, in a Topcast interview that he did ages ago, he talked about the theme Captain Morgan. So Captain Morgan is an alcoholic drink. Do you enjoy a bit of Captain Morgan, Marty?
No, I don't know what that is. I only drink gin.
Okay. It's, I believe it's whiskey, I think. Sure. But Captain Morgan is a real-life pirate that existed hundreds of years ago, I believe. And
real life.
Yes, real life. So I believe Stern was considering doing it, but I'm not sure how serious it was. But there was a couple of emails back and forth, and Keith Johnson said he was really excited because, like how much fun can you have with a pirate theme? So this is the pinball world's second chance to get a really fun Pirates pinball machine because, let's be honest, the Stern one is not a bad machine, but it's not a top machine. It's not an A grade.
How dare you? How dare you forget Black Rose?
Ah, Black Rose. That's like the cheapest Belly Williams D&D game you can get. So,
I like it. Of course I do.
That's say about the I've had, so I don't really have an opinion on it. But anyway, that's our long Expo rundown. And now we have a very small amount of time to talk about what we've done this week, which is good. We're going to keep it nice and tight.
We are. So, one thing we're going to talk about is what's upcoming first of all. And that is, so we've talked previously about Flip Out. This is where Jersey Jack's coming out to Australia, and it's a week after Expo, and we will be able to play Pirates of the Caribbean. We don't really know what it is, but that's obviously what it is. But we are also going to be streaming Magic Girl. That has been confirmed. So we will actually be able to, and that's before Flip Out, so we're actually going to make sure that the thing's working. We do not know what state this machine is in, whether it is working.
You haven't told me any of this. We're going to be doing it before Flip Out.
We are going to be doing it before Flip Out, the week before.
Like on a Sunday night?
On a Sunday night. Oh. So we are going to make sure that this machine is what it's meant to be. Because apparently it's a prototype, so we sort of heard a rumor that maybe some of the features that weren't working on other machines are working on this. Everyone will see exactly what's working live as we stream, because we are going to turn the machine on, we're going to stream, we're not going to play it beforehand, and we're all going to work out together.
What if it
what's
doesn't work?
Then that'll be lots of fun. We will just have lots of fun.
Cool.
So there you go. So do we need to announce the winner of the competition from last week?
Yes. So the competition was list every single machine that Marty and Ryan owns. Now,
we had so many entries coming through, didn't we?
Millions and millions of entries. No, we only had, I don't know.
Just a handful.
Rather a handful. But surprisingly, no one got it right.
What a
not
surprise.
surprisingly, because bloody hard, and no one's going to be for $80 voucher. It's a lot of work to go through 11 podcasts to see all the changes.
All right,
So
as quick as you can, what are all the machines that we own? Go.
okay, my machines: Wizard of Oz, Hobbit, Simpsons Pinball Party, Star Trek Limited Edition, Tron Limited Edition, Lord of the Rings, AC/DC Premium. SM is Spider-Man. Attack from Mars, The Walking Dead Pro, Metallica LE, Getaway High Speed 2, Doctor Who, Whitewater, Demo Man, Sega's Voltaire, Twilight Zone, Shadow, Sea Witch, and Sopranos. And Marty's machines are
Jurassic Park, Hobbit, Wizard of Oz, and Star Trek.
So 24 machines all up. The best answer was, drumroll, Axel. Axel got 22 machines right.
Wow.
And it's quite funny because he beat my good friend Nema, who was at my house like literally a week before the competition and still couldn't name them. And he was playing all my machines and still couldn't name them all. That's how hard it is. So well done to Axel. I will give you your voucher the next time I see you.
Yes, that is a voucher from Dan Murphy's, isn't it?
Yes, and once again, it was generously donated by Dave and Joanne and also Eddie.
Well done.
Combined, yeah. So
we've now got another competition. So we talked about this last week. So this one is for a 3-day pass to PAX Australia in Melbourne, and this is worth $165.
Another massive giveaway from Head2Head Pinball, baby.
It really is. And because we had so much fun with the guess, the back glass or back box art, whatever you want to call it, we've done another similar one in that we've now got a 3x3 grid, so that's 9 images, but in the spirit of large flipper gaps, I thought, why don't we have all these images now, flippers and flipper gaps from 9 different machines. And I hope I haven't made it too easy or too difficult. You just never know these things. But if you go to, well, it's actually not even, it's going to be on everything. So on our Facebook page, on the show notes, on Aussie Arcade, on Pinside, on Tilt Forums, anywhere you see us put up this podcast, if you go to those posts, see the image, name all 9 machines in order, and email us at head2headpinball@gmail.com. You will get a 3-day pass, and also it's not going to be the first person. Anybody that gets, or all people that get all 9 right, we will then do a randomized, and then we'll pick somebody out of the draw, and they will get a 3-day pass.
What if, because we have a lot of people that enter the competition and they realize they made a mistake and they send it in. Is that allowed?
Yes. Yep.
Yes.
Absolutely. Okay. Yep. Because it's not timed. So
okay.
Anytime if you get all 9 right, I just had so many people come up to me and said how much fun they had just trying to rack their brains on these machines. So I thought I'd do it again. Some people say lazy. I don't think so. I think it's a bit of fun.
And do not, when we post it on not Pinsides, when we post it on Facebook, please do not just list them all out on Facebook in the comments and ruin the fun for other people.
Or on any of the forums. You've got to send us an email at headpinball@gmail.com.
And if I wasn't obvious enough, I'm talking to you, Brent Goodwin.
He did rectify it immediately. So that is our competition for this week, and we will draw the winner next Monday because PAX is not far away. It's October 27 to 29. There'll be lots of pinball machines there to play. There's lots of retro games there as well. There'll be arcade games. There's going to be a tournament there. There's going to be split flipper comps. So if you
Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo,
absolutely. So if you're going to be in Melbourne at that time and you want to get a 3-day pass worth $165, enter this competition. It's so freaking easy.
I managed to get 7 of them instantly, and I was kicking myself, and I didn't know the other 2. So,
but then I changed it because I thought it was too easy.
Okay. Anyway, what's next, Marty? What have we been up to this week in pinball?
We have a couple of events. So we talked about last week that we had the Argonauts comp coming up, and we participated in the Argonauts competition at the Golden Fleece Hotel. And the summary for you is you were really tired.
Yeah, I had to fix the getaway pinball machine. The diverter broke off at Pinball Paradise, so I went to do that first, and I just didn't have much sleep that night. The night before as well. And this is not an excuse to how I performed. It was just I was just fatigued mentally and physically. And I don't know how tournament players play like Pinburg and all these events, because by the time I was finished at the end of the night, like I haven't wanted to play pinball since then, and I have, but I haven't had fun playing pinball because I'm just like I got pinball fatigue, because it's mentally draining for me to play this much pinball in one go.
So the format that we talked about is, it starts at 4:00, and I think finishes at 8:30.
8:30. 4.5 hours of non-stop.
Oh, non-stop, as much pinball as you can play as the line will dictate. And there was 40 people there, and there was therefore, because there was 11 machines, there was 30 people in the queue waiting, but it was only a 5-minute wait in between games. So this
is the thing though, when you're not playing and you're in line, it's not like you just get to chill out and compose yourself. I guess you could like be an asshole and put on like headphones or something, like and being your little own space. But you talk to people, and it's just non-stop, 4.5 hours.
But it's great. It's very social. The good thing about it is if you go up and you have a crap game, it's okay. Just get back to the end of the queue and do it all again. It's not one of those make or break type situations. You just had to play a lot more.
How did we go, Marty? Well, I got there. I made sure that I was fixing. I work for myself, so I can get there at 4:00. I went to fix getaway at 3, so I got there. I don't know, it was like 4, almost 4:30, and there was already 15 people there again. And I got Star Wars out of the way. I got some really good scores that set me up well early on with hardly no wait time in the queue. And then it was just kind of depressing. It was stressing me out because I had to hold on to my top 8 position. And I'm pretty sure the last 2 hours of gameplay, I didn't add to my score at all. But luckily, I did scrape in 6th.
Yes.
And Marty, you rocked up like I think that you're the last person to rock up.
Yeah, I did. I can't even remember where I qualified.
You qualified 7th.
Right. Okay. There you
go.
go.
And the way it works is it's 1 versus 8 in the finals, 2 versus 7, and sitting tied at number 2 was Jordan Trudaway, the unbeatable machine,
yes.
and a guy called Greg, a really nice guy, but I think he's a really good player as well, but I didn't know him, so I felt more confident if I was playing him. They were tied, there was a countback thing, so unfortunately you had to play Jordan, and he got to pick the machine as well.
A surprise twist was there was 13 machines, for argument's sake, let's say they were in a circle, and what happened was he got to pick one machine, and automatically the 2 machines to the left of it were also picked. And so when I heard that and I knew I was up against Jordan, I looked at the room and I said, he will pick AC/DC, which is his machine that he owns, and to the left of it is Metallica, which he dominates, and to the left of that, Game of Thrones Limited Edition, which he absolutely dominates. So I just went, you know what, I'm just going to have a bit of fun. I was tired. I knew he was going to beat me. I know that's a terrible spirit to have.
No, hey, it was the opposite. I was stressed out, and you were the one who was actually happy this time.
Yep, I was. You were really stressed out. I'm going, come on, mate. I thought this was all just a bit of fun of games between mates. And you were kind of like, shut up.
I'm a hypocrite, okay? I'm a hypocrite.
It kind of matters. But you were also really tired as well, and a bit grumpy. So I didn't make it into the final 4. I then the next 4, so from 5 to 8, we then had a playoff, and I won the next 3 games, so was top of the B division. So I ended up coming 5th. How did you go?
Well, my guy Greg, he chose Medieval Madness. I I know he didn't really want to pick Medieval Madness, but he wanted to pick it because he played really well on Creature and Data East Star Wars.
Yes.
The shit Star Wars, okay? People think that the Stern Star Wars is the shit one.
No.
It's not. It's easily the best Star Wars game by a million miles, okay? And I was hoping that he would somehow choose a game like Game of Thrones, and because as much as I hate multipliers, I think I'm a lot better at playing the whole multiplayer game than other people. I'm not better than other people, but people still don't seem to know how to play Game of Thrones, Ghostbusters, and Stern Star Wars. So he chose those games because of those last two. So Medieval Madness, I managed to beat him. It was very stressful for me. That's where the stress started. I was one shot away from starting multi-ball, which would have made me win, and it took me about 7 shots to get it in that lock hole. I blame the flipper delay on that. No. And this game was Creature, which he absolutely destroyed me. I've never had one good game on Creature in my life. And so it all came down to the last game, which was Data East Star Wars. And I hate this game so much. And it was playing a bit floaty, just like last time.
It's also got the new code, so don't forget that.
It's also got the new code, so you can't hit the ramp all day. But all you do is you shoot the left. Should I let the people know what to do? You shoot the left. No? Okay.
No, of course you can.
It's our little secret.
Left scoop and then the right kind of inner orbit.
Inner orbit, and you just keep on getting mystery awards, and you hope that it gives you something good, and you just keep on doing that all day long.
Yep.
And then when multi-ball magically appears, you try and get jackpots.
Yep.
Now, he put up a massive, I think it's massive, score of I think it was about 200 million on the second ball. And I walked up to you because you had already kind of won, and I just kind of gave you my I give up face,
yes, I know it well now,
kind of thing. And I don't know if you kind of gauge this, but you kind of gave me some good vibes and good energy. Come on, Ryan, you can do this. I'm not sure if you even said that, but you came out and you were watching me, and I hate people watching me. For some reason, I was like, I know it sounds really lame, but I then tried to grind out the win for you because it's not like I could have just
that's really nice. To be fair, I was actually standing there seriously just giving you mega vibes going, come on man, you have got, I seriously was. So maybe we really are now in sync.
Well, as I said, it was a grind because as I said, it's left scoop and the right, and it's just it was like a 15-minute game, and just to play safe because otherwise you're just going to lose the ball. And I managed to win through the bonus.
Oh, you did too.
I managed to get max bonus. I made the one shot I needed to make. It was like the Medieval Madness situation where I had to make it. It rejected 3 or 4 times. I was swearing at the machine. I was hating the machine so much. And I was just thinking, what have I become? Why am I swearing at this machine so much?
You're one of us.
Give me the fucking good award, you piece of shit.
I know.
Sorry I was saying that. That's literally, it was worse than that because it was a mystery award. So I was like, what is it going to give me? All right, 9 million. That's enough. The ball drained. I didn't drain on purpose. And the bonus got me over the line.
You got 16 million in bonus, and you won by 14 million.
Okay. So and then it was an 8 times bonus or something. So yep. I would have been almost a draw if I didn't get that.
Correct.
That bonus mystery award. So anyway, the bottom line is Data East sucks, and
it was also very floaty, that one as well. So Jeff said that he's going to raise it up a bit, but it was quite slow.
Even if it plays a bit faster, well, it would make it more interesting. But it's just I just don't want to do that all day. Just shoot.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway, bottom line is I got into the final 4, which I think was a bit of a fluke, and then as I do, I totally bummed out and came last in the final 4. So in my games, I came. I came last. What were the games? Walking Dead. Okay, last on Walking Dead, second on Medieval Madness, and third on Creature. So that overall put me in last position.
So you came 4th and I came 5th. So we just always in the same area. And so this is somebody that's been, in tournaments for 4 or 5 years to somebody that's been in tournaments for 6 months.
Okay, don't say that because basically this is how it works, guys. If Marty got there the same time I did, he would have qualified first or second or third, and he would have played someone else. But because he came late, he played maybe there's 12 machines there. He played maybe 13 games, and he still got in. And people that were there all day didn't get in. So Marty is clearly better. And stop trying to make me sound good, because then someone.
No, I want you to sound good, so you keep playing.
Okay, no, it doesn't work. I don't know. As I said, I like pinball machines, but the tournament thing is changing my point of view on pinball machines so quickly that it's scaring me because I'm serious.
I know.
It's
I know.
sometimes in a good way, and then sometimes I think it's almost a bad way because I don't hate pinball machines, that much. If I hate them, I don't play them, but I'm forced to play certain pinball machines.
Okay, well, I'm going to say something that may change your future.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to talk about one of the Sharp brothers.
Okay.
I'm going to talk about Josh Sharp. Hi, Josh, if you're listening. Of course you are. I can't remember what it was, but there was an interview that he had, and someone said to him, do you still enjoy playing pinball for fun? And he said, no, I don't. I only play pinball in comps. I don't play it for fun anymore.
That is the worst. This is the part that I'm scared about.
Right, that's why I'm telling you. You've got a moment now.
All week.
Yep. So
I've got 20 machines in my house, and I haven't played any. Like I've played like one game of Demo Man, some Metallica, but it was just out of like boredom's sake. I'm just like I have to play my pinball machines. They're here, but I didn't have fun doing it, and
well, that's what you're really understanding is when it comes to tournament play, is that it's quite draining. It does take a lot out of you, and it's probably why if I go to a comp a week, it's why I don't play my machines at home, because I'm all pinballed out because it's really draining, and it's not because it's the pressure of pinball all the time, but usually these comps go for 4, 5, 6 hours, and that's, even if you're not playing pinball, that's still a lot of energy that you've got to put into these comps, and I'm wrecked by then.
You know what else was like a light bulb moment? Not a light bulb moment, but a really kind of like weird thought that I had. Being like a competitive pinball player, and I'm not saying that I'm one of them, but like the people that do it, something like Steve Bowden and stuff like that, you need to remember so much stuff. Like your brain is full of so much, I'm not going to say useless, but so much pinball information that can be used to store other things. It is insane. What other, like, you can email me if you want, if you think there's something else, but what other, let's call it a sport, pinball a sport, what other professional sport is there where you have to know, one, how to be good at pinball, so you got the basic skill, right? But then you have to apply that to 200-300 different playing fields, right?
It's pretty full on, isn't it?
Yeah, people that are the best video game players in the world, they play the same game, right? They might play the new version of the game, and there's different maps, but it's maybe I'm discounting professional video game players, but I think each game still, like if you're on a different map in, say, Call of Duty, it still abides by the same rules, whereas every pinball machine has a different set of rules.
Yeah, correct.
So it is one of the hardest things ever, and I'm just like, well, how am I ever going to be good at all these pinball machines? As I said, I have never had a good game on Creature, and like Luke and whatever, they were just blowing up the pinball. They would get like 500 million, and I saw the entire game, which I've never seen before. Great game, Creature, by the way. I was just like, wow, this is actually a good game. I always thought it sucked, but it doesn't suck. I don't know what your thoughts are on Creature, but
no, I do like Creature. I wouldn't want to own it. I don't think the rules are deep enough, but it's a good fun comp game.
Okay. Anyway,
what else did we do? So last night we streamed Hobbit, and the reason why I wanted to mention this is not just because yet again I got sort of a little bit trashed and might have fallen asleep. But what I found when I was sort of sitting down because I couldn't stand anymore, I was watching you and James and Jackie play. I'm just going to say, this is what's really interesting, okay? People have always said about, the Jersey Jack machines having the big LCD screen in the back and saying, you don't play the screen, you play the game. And I now really understand that, because I was sitting on the couch, so I couldn't see what was happening under the glass. All I could see was the screen. And I just saw this fantastic video footage from The Hobbit. Like when Into the Fire happened, I saw all that. And I just thought, oh my God, all that footage is there, and I've never even seen it before. And I've played that game so much, I never look at what's on the back screen, like all that video footage. If I'm looking, it's either one of the corners telling me where I'm at in each of those objectives, or what mode I'm doing, or what jackpots. I'm never looking at what video footage is actually playing on the back screen.
Well, this is like a segue that we won't actually talk in detail about, but did you see Time Bandit's apron screen thing mod?
No, what's that?
So Time Bandit, that awesome guy who makes cool stuff that we said we're going to interview and we haven't put any effort into contacting him.
Yes.
He's made, like, for his ACDC, he's put a DMD inside the apron, right? So
Okay.
literally like the same size, I believe, as a DMD in the apron, so you can just like look down and see, not in color obviously because the color DMD wouldn't fit. Actually, the LCD one, the LED one might fit. But anyway, it's a customized apron with a DMD built into it. So when you're looking down at the flippers, you can like glance at the DMD at the same time. We gotta have him on. Let's put like you're the guy who records and does all the hard work. Can you please contact these people, because we line up and talk about a lot of interviews, and we've done like two, I think.
Yeah, that's all right. So, all right, well, let's get in touch with Time Bandit, or Time Bandit if you're listening. Head2Head Pinball at
I'll
gmail.com.
contact him. All right, you lazy bastard. You're telling him to email you.
I've got a couple more hours of editing to do.
I've bought a machine off him. We've got a decent rapport. I'll do
Cool.
it.
Awesome.
All right.
So that's it for us. What's happened in your week?
Not much. As I said, after the tournament, I just didn't want to kind of touch anything. I did get Sea Witch in the house.
Yes.
So Sea Witch, I don't think I told you. I'm pretty sure it was this week. It's been a long week. Sea Witch is in the house. It looks bloody awkward because it's a different shape to every other machine.
It really looks awkward.
I showed you a picture.
I know.
Big thanks again to Luke, who helped me store it and
you, Luke.
and also helped me bring it to my house. The reviews from the family. My youngest kid, who's 2.5 years old, said, "Where's Fishy Pinball?" Because she's still wondering where Tails is. She literally, every time she walks into the pinball room, "Daddy, where's Fishy Pinball?" And I pointed to the back glass and I said, "Look, Fishy Pinball. Like, there's a fish here. It's like a fish with wings, a weird looking thing."
Yep.
And she didn't take it.
No, obviously.
My 5-year-old, who's now a 6-year-old, V, she absolutely loved it.
Really?
She hasn't wanted to play it. Like, she's busy doing other stuff. She's school holidays. We spent a lot of time outside this week. But she said, "Wow, I can tell this is an old pinball machine, Dad, because like there's no ramps, there's not many things on there. Like, there's hardly anything on here, And then she played a game. And she's like, "This is fun. Like, all machines should be like this." So
Well, there you go.
that was interesting. We'll see if she still likes it.
What do you think of it?
Yeah, I've got to fix a lot of things on there. Like, half the lights don't work because they use incandescents. Ugh. I'm still debating whether I should put LEDs or not. I've seen some videos where people have put LEDs and they make everything look, really pop. But it is a different generation of pinball machines, so I'm still debating in my head. The thing is, as I've mentioned before, I like to play with the lights off. To play Sea Witch with the lights off, you really can't see the ball. So I have to put the lights on, and then I'm thinking to myself, all these people that have incandescents, well, most of them anyway, they play with some kind of different illumination in the room. So how is that any different than having like LEDs in their pinball machine?
Yeah,
like,
Bruce.
it really is just a technicality. Like saying, well, if I shine a torch on your pinball machine, like, hey, now you can see, but why can't I just have that inbuilt into what I want to play? So I won't do it just yet. If someone wants to email me and tell me I'm a way around it, a nice way, because I do like the classic look of it, but I really don't want to have my lights on in the room, which would just make the pinball. I think pinball machines look shit when there's a big overhead light illuminating the entire playfield at any one time. We're not going to get sponsored by Pin Stadium lights because I don't believe in just having just this bright, insane.
I understand.
I like certain dark patches in pinball machines.
Well, I don't know much about LEDs. You're the LED king here, but can you get the warm whites but really strong?
Yeah, that's what I get. I get dual SMD.
Yeah, that should do.
Well, this is the thing. I think people. My thinking was that maybe I shouldn't go strong. I should go the weakest warm white LED, so it is the closest to an incandescent, but just a little bit brighter.
Still with that brightness, yeah.
I don't know. I'll figure it out, but it's quite scary because there's no menu, and I have no idea what I'm doing with these pinball machines. If something breaks on this pinball machine, I am at the mercy of everyone that is going to help me out fix it, because I'm just so used to the belly DMDs where you press the button, you go into switch test, there's 2 buttons and I'm scared to press them inside the pinball machine, but there's no menu. So that's all I've been up to pretty much. The tournament, the stream with you, and getting Sea Witch in.
Fair enough.
Yourself, Matty?
Oh, not much outside that. I mentioned last week that I may be looking for a new house, and it's really difficult because I need to find a house that's got a pinball room that's isolated from the rest of the house. Very difficult to find, but I'm still. And the funny thing is, so many people come up to me and said, "Oh, are you really looking for a house?" I'm like, "Oh shit, did I tell you that?" And of course, I've told a lot of people that. So anyway, it's coming along slowly. But the other thing that happened is that I've always said, I'm on record saying that I like Avatar. In fact, I love Avatar. It's one of my favourite Stern machines. And one did come up for sale recently, a limited edition. And I'm not going to say what they're asking for and what I've offered, but they didn't accept my offer. But it's not just about Avatar as the limited edition, but what other limited edition Stern machines are there that probably haven't held that high value and are a bit of a bargain?
Transformers, X-Men. I think there's like weird LEs like Elvis LE and stuff like that. But
Elvis LE still goes for good dollars, because I just don't think there was that many of them. That was back in the
they advertise
really limited edition
good dollars, and they try and get an Elvis collector. I don't think pinball collectors are the ones that are buying the LE pinball machine. But X-Men's been going up in value because people finally realise that it's not an absolutely horrible game like initially thought. Transformers, not so much, but Avatar, I think is it the cheapest in Australia? The LE, I don't know. It should be. No one messaged this person. Well, there's either two routes we can go down, Marty. We can tell everyone to message this person and offer them like $3,000 for it, and then they'll say, "Hey, your offer's quite good," or just don't contact her at all, and she'll realize that no one wants Avatar except Marty.
Yeah, it's probably true. Anyway, I'm willing to hold out because it's not worth what it's being asked for. But it's one of these things.
Isn't that admission in itself?
Yeah, this is what I was just about to say, because it's all about value. It's a weird thing for me because I really want this game and I really want a limited edition, but I also know what it's worth.
Well, it's that feeling that if you want to move it on one day, you're going to lose $2,000
That's
or
right.
something.
That's exactly right.
No one is as crazy as you to spend that much money.
That's exactly
on,
right. There's few people like me that would spend that kind of money on an Avatar.
So to message everyone out there, if you see this for sale, it's hidden somewhere.
Or if you've got an Avatar limited edition, you want to sell it cheap, get in contact with me. Anyway.
All right, so
that's it.
That's it. If you want to contact us, you can email us on our website, head2headpinball.com. You'll find all of our links there, social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can email us at head@gmail.com. And, wait a second, we're not finished yet. This has been on the bottom of every show notes for the last month. Why is there no Van Damme pinball machine or Steven Seagal? Okay,
because they're both shit actors. The question answers itself.
Segment over. No,
but that's the answer. They are really bad wooden actors. They've not been in a good movie. Mate. Okay, so if you're going to say Jean-Claude Van Damme, what movie would you be? Because it wouldn't be a Jean-Claude Van Damme pinball machine.
JVCD.
Yeah. Are you saying
JCVD, sorry.
Are you saying that he should have his own machine, or are you saying
there's a movie?
Are you saying Street Fighter the movie should become a pinball?
No, there's a movie called Jean-Claude Van Damme, and it's like almost like a parody of his real life, but it's a movie.
Wow.
So it could just be about him being a film star. Anyway, this is the question, right? Who is more worthy of a pinball machine, Van Damme or Steven Seagal? All right, and since the answer is Van Damme, what is the best movie to base it off? So please email us with suggestions, toy ideas, and call-outs. There could be a punching in the snake mode. There's so many cool Van Damme moments. It could be the Bloodsport one where you can't see anything and you have to make the shot while you're blind. Or if you really agree that it's Steven Seagal, who's a hilarious actor, even though he's not meant to be hilarious, you can give us your suggestions for that. So that's it, Marty. Please don't edit that out.
I will leave that in.
Edit all the other stuff out.
I will just leave that in. Jean-Claude Van Damme or Steven Seagal, which one is more or less rubbish than the other?
All right, we're done.
Right, we are done. Are you going to sing us out?
No.
Oh, how dare you.
Unless you sing me out, I will not sing you out anymore.
No, that's not our thing.
No? Okay.
All right. Have a good week, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.